Let me read to you a passage from the 13th chapter of St. John's Gospel, verses 21 to 33 and verses 36 to 38. It's the Gospel for Tuesday of Holy Week. St. John writes, "After he had said this, Jesus was troubled in spirit and testified, 'I tell you the truth, one of you is going to betray me.' His disciples stared at one another, at a loss to know which of them he meant. One of them, the disciple whom Jesus loved, was reclining next to him. Simon Peter motioned to this disciple and said, 'Ask him which one he means.' Leaning back against Jesus, he asked him, 'Lord, who is it?' Jesus answered, 'It is the one to whom I will give this piece of bread when I have dipped it in the dish.' Then, dipping the piece of bread, he gave it to Judas Iscariot, son of Simon. As soon as Judas took the bread, Satan entered into him. 'What you are about to do quickly,' Jesus told him. But no one at the meal understood why Jesus said this to him. Since Judas had charge of the money, some thought Jesus was telling him to buy what was needed for the feast, or to give something to the poor. As soon as Judas had taken the bread, he went out, and it was night. When he was gone, Jesus said, 'Now is the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will glorify the Son in himself, and will glorify him at once. My children, I will be with you only a little longer. You will look for me, and just as I told the Jews, so I tell you now, where I am going, you cannot come.' Simon Peter asked him, 'Lord, where are you going?' Jesus replied, 'Where I am going, you cannot follow now, but you will follow later.' Peter asked, 'Lord, why cannot I follow you now? I will lay down my life for you.' Then Jesus answered, 'Will you really lay down your life for me? I tell you the truth, before the cock crows, you will disown me 3 times. That's from John chapter 13, verses 21 to 33 and verses 36 to 38 for Tuesday of Holy Week. We are led to think of Judas. There is an unending fascination with the theory, taken as established fact, of the evolution of man from animals. There is another fascinating thing about the origins of man, but knowledge of it depends on the acceptance of divine revelation, and as opposed to the hypothesis of evolution, it is therefore quite certain. I refer to man's exceedingly bad beginning. We read in the sacred scriptures that man came from the hand of God. Of all the things that the Lord God made, we read, it is man whom he made in his own image, after his own likeness. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. As being in his image, he made him Lord over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, over everything upon the earth. Male and female he created them. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 to 27. There was nothing wrong with man as he came forth from the hand of God, and the woman he gave to him was just like him. They were both very good, the marvel of God's visible creation, its king and its queen. But their first deliberate action, as recorded in the scriptures, was, we might say, traitorous. They were beholden to God for his goodness and enjoyed his favour and friendship. Being placed in the garden, there appeared to the woman the serpent, a shining one who presented the appearance of wisdom, more subtle than any other wild creature, we read. This interlocutor instantly raised false suspicions about God. Did God say, "You shall not eat of any tree in the garden"? He was manifestly no friend of God, and the woman chose to enter into dialogue with him. Rather than shunning him with a resounding snub, she conversed with him. While clarifying God's command, she did it in such a way as obviously to leave open the door to further suggestions. It was what a traitor might do, who knowingly opened himself to being drawn to the side of the enemy of his Lord. The serpent then put his proposal that she choose to be God's antagonist in glory. "You will be like God," he promised. And she went over to the serpent's side. She was a traitor, and proceeded to seduce the man to the same course. It was all up, and ruin followed, not only to them, but to all of us, their progeny. How did this come to pass, when they had such clarity of sight and such blessings? It is the mystery of sin, the mystery of human choice, and of God's allowing evil human choices. So the ages passed, and there appeared in man's midst the grand promise, the one who would bruise and crush the head of the serpent. Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. Jesus Christ came unto his own, in order to give to all who received him the power to become children of God. John chapter 1, verse 12. He formed about him the 12, the foundation stones of his church, that would bring the saving knowledge and love of him to the nations. The splendor of relationship with Christ that this entailed is manifested in the first encounter between Jesus and his principal apostles. We read in St. John's Gospel that when, to two of his own, John the Baptist pointed out Jesus for the first time as the Lamb of God, they immediately followed Jesus. "Come and see," Jesus said to them, and they stayed with him the rest of that day, and would never turn back despite their failures. They had found the pearl of great price, and they sold all they had, as it were, to get the pearl. "We have found the Messiah," Andrew said to Simon, and he brought him to Jesus. John chapter 1, verse 35 to 42. But there was another who followed Jesus, and whom Jesus would deliberately, after a night in prayer to God his Father, in Luke chapter 6, verse 12 to 16, choose to be one of the apostolic foundation. It was Judas the traitor. Judas is mentioned always in the Gospels as the traitor. This is the significant thing about him. He had the inestimable friendship of Jesus Christ, daily contact with him. He lived in the presence of the incarnate God, with the constant offer of his personal friendship and magnificent prospects ahead of him for personal sanctity and untold fruitfulness of life. He could have been celebrated every year in the church's liturgy till the end of the world, as are the other apostles. Christ made no mistake about him, just as God made no mistake about Adam and Eve. He had been chosen from before the foundation of the world to be holy and to be in Christ. But of course it depended on personal choice, as it did with Adam and Eve. Yet inexplicably he entertained insinuating thoughts from the enemy, whom Christ called the prince of this world, the shining one who presents himself as wise, the ancient serpent called the devil, as John dubs him in Revelation chapter 12, verse 9. He began to dialogue with the one who opposed Christ, as would a traitor. As our gospel today that I read earlier shows, in John chapter 13, verse 21 to 33 and 36 to 38, the point was reached when he traitorously crossed the line against Jesus. This is the mystery of sin and evil. How could Judas have done this? We do not know. except that every time we deliberately commit a venial sin, we inch along in that direction. The next mystery is, why did Christ allow it? Why does God allow evil choices? We do not know, other than to say that in Christ's absolutely unerring and infallible judgment, it was best for Judas and for all that Judas not be cast out, as the buyers and sellers had been cast out of the temple. He patiently and anxiously continued to extend to Judas the love he had given, but to no avail. This betrayal is one of the most horrible things, perhaps the very worst thing, that has happened in human history. But from it all, came the glory of God. As we heard, now is the Son of Man glorified.